Let me tell you about the show's newest sponsor, Juniper Mountain Coffee. You can check them out at junipermountaintradingpost.com and check out everything that they sell. I really like what they say on their website. And guys, if you are a coffee connoisseur like me, this here American company that's not run by a bunch of wokesters might be worth checking out for you. What they say is, we roast coffee for those loyal to a lost way of life, those that never back down in the face of adversity, the ones that keep their word, treat people with respect, and still believe in the importance of hard work. We offer some of the best coffee in the world and look forward to earning a spot in your cup. And they have definitely earned a spot in my cup. Whether you like light roast, dark roast, ground already, or not ground, you just want to order it fresh. And they even have those little pod things for those of you that just make one cup at a time. I drink too much coffee for that, so I don't do that. And they also have a cold brew. But it's a great company, great story. You guys are going to dig these guys. Check them out at junipermountaintradingpost.com. Let them know the Western Huntsman sent you. This is that time of year when it's really time to turn up the heat on your scouting. We're going through summer. Season's going to be here before you know it, and I don't care if you're going after mule deer, whitetail, the mighty wapiti, whatever it is. Scouting is imperative, and it makes it much easier when you use trail cameras where they are allowed. And let me tell you something, I like trail cameras that are easy to use, functional, and have good quality pictures. That brings us to SpyPoint. SpyPoint trail cameras, you can check them out at spypoint.com. And it doesn't matter if you're looking to do one of the cell cams, like the Flex X or the Flex G36 or the LM2. They have some great deals on their website. Like right now, if you check them out, they've got some clearance cameras going on the cell cams. You can also get a cell link that attaches to any regular cell camera and will transmit pictures right to your phone. The other trail cameras, if you're way out in the backcountry and don't have phone service out there, the Force Pro S and the Force Pro are my go-to cameras. I absolutely love them. If you guys saw the pictures from this last bear season, they were really high-quality pictures, and they were all done with that Force Pro camera. So check it out, guys, at spypoint.com and let them know the Western Huntsman sent ya. There exists a threat, from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast. This is Jim Huntsman, your host, coming at you from the Broken Town studio right here in Heron, Montana, and brought to you by Eastman's Hunting Journals. Thanks, guys, for joining us this week. I've got something. We're shifting gears. I know we've been ragging on the anti-hunting movement lately, and talking about some late season hunting, and you guys know that I have this thing where the problem is I have too many like really expensive hobbies, and one of them is being a musician. And so I like to bring on up and coming musicians that I come across or meet at various places, usually on social media. And I've got one for you this week, and I'm pretty excited to have Travis Van Hoff on to share some of his music and his story and his hunting background and all that kind of stuff. So Travis, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Jim. This is great. I love that you're into the music scene as well, and it is an expensive hobby.
Dude, I just so my wife's not home, so she won't hear me say this, but I just bought a new set of drums on that Reverb app.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a set of drums for a couple of years because we were living in a fifth wheel, right? And so on our old homestead there, and I just like, she gives me a hard time because I'll be like, oh, I need a new bow, and I'll drop a bunch of money on a new bow or a rifle or whatever, and then I'm going to hit her again with this drum set. And it's like, I'm sick of chintzy ass drum sets. So I really went out on this one, man. It's sweet. I can't wait for it to get here, but I haven't broke the news to her yet. She doesn't know I bought it.
She's gonna hear it first on the podcast.
Well, lucky for me, she doesn't listen to
Oh,
it. Not very often. So,
yeah.
um,
It's all the good hobbies are the expensive ones. So that's just
yeah, I know. Like nothing's cheap anymore, right?
no.
Where are you at? You're in Utah, huh?
Yeah, I'm in Salt Lake.
Good old
So
Salt Lake, huh? Cool.
yeah, Salt Lake City. So yeah, I was born in Salt Lake, and then we moved to California in Sacramento when I was 2 years old.
Uh-huh.
So I lived in Sacramento for a while and moved back to Salt Lake when I was in middle school and high school. So
Oh, cool. Been there ever
now,
since, huh?
yeah, been out west basically, my whole life. So
Yeah.
never lived out east or anything like that. So yeah,
So I don't know. Do you know I grew up in Draper, Utah.
yeah, in Draper. That's where my parents live.
Oh, really? They live in Draper, huh?
Yeah, they still live in Draper. They live. Do you know where the new high school is? The Corner Canyon High School.
Ah, vaguely, man. It was not there last time I lived there. I
Yeah,
vaguely know.
when I lived there, it was a cornfield, and that was my first job picking corn for the farmer.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
walk
we have a
out,
lot.
block behind me.
Heck yeah, man. We have a lot in common. Yeah, when I grew up in Draper, there was like a bunch of dairy farms and a big pig farm, and most of it, I mean, we spent our time running through farmers' fields, scaring pheasants up, and it's just all developed now. We used
It's
to camp and deer hunt up Corner Canyon. Speaking of Corner Canyon,
Yeah, that's exactly. I would go up there all the time,
yeah,
and it's crazy how much they've developed back into that corner because it used to not be so far into that corner there, and now it's all just. I mean, not only developed with homes, but developed with trails and mountain biking. Like it's like a big
I
mountain
know.
downhill course now, and it's
Oh,
crazy.
really? Wow, that's nuts, man. Yeah, I used to go up there before there was any development. In fact, in middle school, we would backpack up into Corner Canyon, and there were no. I mean, there were just like deer trails. You'd get up there, and there was a couple of dirt roads that take you over the top, and we'd go up there and camp. And when we got our driver's licenses, we all got CB radios in our trucks and cruised around Corner Canyon, all those dirt roads up there, wreaking havoc on the roads and our trucks. And yeah, I have quite the stories from that neck of the woods. And now it's all neighborhood.
Crazy.
So
Yeah.
you're in Salt Lake.
So I just say Salt Lake is a generality. I'm in Lehigh technically, so
Oh,
just down
nice.
the corner now from Draper. So yeah, my wife and I are married, 3 kids, dog, chickens, the whole thing.
Good for you.
Yeah, I know, right? My wife's waiting for the day I come home with a goat or a cow or something.
Probably just around the corner, man.
Yeah, I know. I hope. So yeah, we just bought a house out here and been here for coming up on 2 years now. It's been great.
Good for you, man. Yeah, that Lehigh's a great area. Is that Porter's Steakhouse still in Lehigh? That it's a little old school restaurant. I don't know if it's even still there.
That sounds so familiar. I've heard of this. I don't know. I don't know where it is. I don't know if it's still.
Would have been on the old Main Street of Lehigh, and I don't know, man. It's been a long, like 25 years since I've been there.
Yeah.
To that steakhouse. But anyway, yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I always like kind of chewing the fat with somebody who's same kind of stomping grounds and whatnot. Utah, yeah, it's I've got a lot of history there. So I've still got my family has a ranch down in San Pete County, and my mom lives in Draper. Yeah, so and my brother lives in Salt Lake. My little brother, he's quite the urbanite. He lives in Salt Lake. I'm not sure where. So
An urbanite. That's awesome. Yeah, I live pretty urban as well, but I keep telling my wife even though we've been here a short time, it's about time to get out of this urban city.
Yeah, it's hard to escape it, man.
I know. And I mean, I say that and it's like Salt Lake's not that big compared to like Chicago or LA or New York or something like that. But I mean, it's just, I don't think humans are supposed to live this close together. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, we can have a whole podcast episode on that very topic, man. And the thing is with Utah and like Salt Lake, that whole area, it's not like it's all condensed like somewhere like Seattle or Chicago, but it's so spread out. Like you are in city basically. You're in a developed area from Ogden to like, what is that town to the south? Like Payson, Spanish Fork, Payson area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like, it's just all one big continuous town. It's crazy. So
It really is. And it's getting crazier on the other side of Utah Lake with Eagle Mountain and,
yeah.
all Saratoga Springs out there. I mean, they're building being in Lehigh, I got an email from the state how they're trying to develop that area, bringing the Mountain View corridor into Utah County and kind of
Wow.
freeways over to that side of the lake as well. And it's just going to go crazy.
That's nuts. It's crazy. I can't. I've always had a hard time figuring out why Utah is blowing up the way it has. It got too big for my wife and I, man. We moved back there. I took a job down there in like 2009 for a couple years, and it was too much for us. So we went back to North Idaho, and now as of a few months ago, we're in Montana. So tell me about this. You've got chickens and stuff going on, huh? You got a little mini homestead going, or what?
Starting. I've got 6 chickens, and it's been great. We've had them for, let's see, this is the 2 years now. Like we got them right when we moved into this house, and so coming up on 2 years, and it's been so fun. I mean,
yeah.
So our dog, we have an Airedale Terrier, and she loves the chickens.
Really,
as they were chicks, we would bring the chicks to her and let her smell the chickens and stuff. And so now that they're old, we just let the chickens run around the backyard, and our dog just hangs out with them. I think honestly, our dog protects them because we have a lot of hawks and we see some eagles and stuff now and then. And I think because we have a big dog, she's about 80 pounds, they stay away. So
absolutely, yeah, they'll do that. No, that's great, man. I think everybody should have chickens, at least a couple. I mean, the eggs are better, it's healthier. They're like, I love the concept of, like, my girls are completely in charge of the chickens, right? Well, other than I build the coop and make it all predator. We live way out in the sticks, so we recently lost a chicken to a black bear, and then another one just died randomly. But so we're down to 14 chickens right now. But I think it's a great tool to use to build like character and responsibility for kids, and give them that chore of collecting eggs and cleaning the coop out and all that kind of stuff. It really, I don't know, it just like it gives them that purpose that sometimes they might not get elsewhere. And chickens are a great way to do that. So cool. Good for you guys.
Yeah, I agree. My kids, I have a boy, he's 5. He's our oldest, and he loves it. He loves going out there and getting the eggs, and it doesn't even seem like a chore for him. It seems like something fun to do. And so,
oh yeah. So you have 3 kids, 5 and under?
Yeah.
Man, your hands are full, brother.
We are in the thick of it right now. So we have a boy and 2 girls. So Cal's 5, Gemma is 3, and Holland is 1. She turns 2 in January. So
cool. Good for you. Yeah. You're getting closer to being at a diaper stage. Well, unless you're going to have more.
That's the conversation right now. We're debating what we're going to do, because the two older are out of diapers, and then the younger one, she's ready. I mean, she tells us when she needs to go. Yeah. So, but yeah, we're debating if there's one more or if we're done. So,
speaking of all, diapers and guitars and music and all this stuff, when my youngest finally was done in diapers, and she was around that 2 years old phase, I felt like I had all this extra money because the diapers are expensive. And I went out and bought a guitar. I bought, what is the name of that one? Alvarez. I bought an Alvarez guitar. It's a pretty sweet setup too. So tell me a little bit about your connection to music and how you started and what it means to you.
Sure. I mean, that's a very broad question, but yeah, yep. I mean, I've been doing music since I can remember. My mom always tells me the story that in kindergarten, our bathroom was right next to our room, like it was attached. And I would go in there thinking nobody could hear me, and I'd just be singing at the top of my lungs in the bathroom in kindergarten, and everyone obviously could hear me. And so I think it just kind of began from there, this love for music. And it's weird because like in high school and stuff, I all my friends, they were like, "Oh, well, I'm going to this college. I'm going to this college." And I went to college out of necessity because like that's what everybody else was doing. But like
Mm-hmm.
I always knew that that's not what I was going to do. I was just going through the motions, because
Sure.
that's what everyone else was doing. And then finally, it got to the point where I just couldn't even focus in school, and I was going to BYU at the time, and I dropped out of BYU and moved to LA, to Huntington Beach.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, yeah. I was like, I can't focus. Like the only thing I want to do is music. And so I moved out to LA, joined a band out there. And that's kind of where I really got my feet wet. Like I'd been playing the acoustic guitar in my room and wrote some songs. And when I was 18, I did this little record, and that was fun, but I didn't really know how to play live shows. I'd never been really in a band. It was all just kind of acoustic stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so moving out to LA, I really got my feet wet as far as playing live shows, playing with a band. We played a bunch of shows. We toured the US, and yeah, it was great. That's where I met my wife as well. It was out in California. So
Oh, no kidding, huh?
yeah, so, funny enough, though, she's from here as well, and so we ended up both moving back here, and then got married once we were back here. So yeah,
Man, that is super interesting how sometimes that works out. My wife and I are both from Utah, and she would go in Draper. There is this gymnastics building, and I think it's still there, but it was like the only building back in the day. That's where she would go to gymnastics as a kid. So I'm sure we crossed trails all the time, but we didn't meet until I moved to North Idaho. And so it's just crazy how that stuff kind of the
yeah.
magnetism or whatever you want to call it draws you
No,
together.
I'm with you, and I'll go even deeper on that too. So I grew up going to the Oakley Rodeo my whole life, and turns out my wife had been growing up going to the Oakley Rodeo as well. And so I'm sure we
Really?
crossed paths at the rodeo at some point. Yeah,
Huh.
so it's so funny. I agree.
That's
It's just
nuts, man.
I know.
Huh.
Yeah.
And so growing up, obviously you were way into music. You mentioned you're pretty into hunting too, huh?
Yeah, so my dad's side of the family is huge into hunting, and that's kind of where I got introduced into it. They but they're mostly kind of more like rifle hunting, that kind of stuff, and fishing. And my uncle would always try to get me to go ice fishing, and I never wanted to go sit out on a frozen lake for hours on end as a kid. That didn't sound too good, but since then I've done some ice fishing, and it's great. But yeah, so that's kind of where I was introduced to it, and I didn't get into. So now I'm more into bow hunting, and it's tough. I mean, it's
Yeah.
I would say I'm recently into bow hunting. I think that's because it's the new craze, right? Everybody's into bow hunting these days, and so yeah. I mean, it's just you have more possibilities. I think more tags that you can get to if you bow hunt as well as put in for any little
Yeah.
weapon stuff. So, anyways, I mean, it just seemed right to get into bow hunting as well. So but it's so tough. Oh my gosh, it's just
What do you mean, like going after the Utah mule deer or screaming elk, or what is it you're bow hunting?
both. Both. I
Oh,
get the elk tag every year, just the general tag, and it is just so tough to get. I mean, it's with what's the percent success rate? It's like 2% or something. It's like
for
10%.
yeah, for
It's so
elk, it's like 9-10%
yeah.
archery success, and it totally depends. And I went through that phase too, man. And I'll tell you, there's like I started as a rifle hunter, and then I got way into bow, and I'd only do bow hunting, and I was focused on that. Like almost everything I did was bow hunting. And then I don't know, I've gotten older, and now I'm an opportunist hunter. So whatever tag is open and whatever that required, method of chase is, whether it's archery or rifle or muzzleloader, I'll hunt all of them. I don't, and I love all of them for different reasons, and so
Yeah.
have you, well, we'll have to talk off air. I have a really good spot for mule deer in Utah that I could probably tell you about.
I would
And
love it.
yeah, in fact, I tell my wife all the time, if there's one thing I miss about Utah was this mule deer hunt. And it's a tag, it opens like in August, late August. And it is a ball, but it's super high country too. So, but yeah, be a
I
great
mean, I
little
feel like
discussion.
that's kind of where you got to go is the high country. All the stuff close to the city. It's everyone's kind of hitting those spots and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like bow hunting it's kind of romantic, and that's what I think I love. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's a fair fight. It's a fair chance.
There's a lot of nostalgia around it too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So do you ever does like hunting ever tie into your music? Do they cross paths a lot in terms of whether you're writing or you're just the way they tie into each other? For like example, I fell in love with music when I was a kid, listening to my grandparents playing like Willie Nelson when we were camping or down at Lake Powell, Um, and I think that's where my love of music actually came from. And I'm talking when I'm 3-4 years old, they'd be just blasting this stuff, and how does that kind of tie into how you view it?
Yeah, I think for me, I get really inspired by just the outdoors. This new song that I released a couple weeks ago, the chorus starts out, "Cowboys run with the wind, chasing the daylight."
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with hunting especially, it's like you're chasing the daylight. That's what you have to hunt, kind of thing. So, so I feel like really I get inspired by just getting away from the notifications and just being able to unplug and kind of be ready to receive the revelation that you need, I guess, to write a song. So that's, definitely when I'm hunting. I mean, that's most of the time you're out of service. And so you get that time to kind of reflect and I'll have my phone out there and I always write down, notes in my notes. I'll write down notes. My voice memos if you go through my phone, all my voice memos are just like random melodies or lyrics that come to mind and stuff like that. And so like I'll sit there and I'll put that stuff down. And then once I'm back, I'll kind of flesh out the song and figure it out from there. But yeah, I definitely I get inspired wherever, most of the time in the outdoors.
Have you ever chased a deer off accidentally because you got a great song idea suddenly and started recording it in voice memos? And
that has not happened yet. I know, right? You're like, well, you're singing out there in the woods and you're trying to hunt, like that doesn't work. No, that has not happened. I usually am not doing that when I'm like stalking or out kind of in pursuit. It's more, background camp, around the campfire, that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Man, that is my favorite. I've done the whole, hang on, I'm adjusting my sound level here. My mic, for some reason, when I record in Zoom, man, that my mic will all of a sudden get super loud. So I turn that down. Anyway, I did the whole thing where I had a band and we had a tour bus and we had all sorts of stuff and we were going through making a life as a musician for a long time. And of all those shows that I played back in the day and all the venues that we visited and all the stuff, my favorite place is still around a campfire. And that's where I think the most connection to music comes from for me. What, by the way, what all do you play? Play guitar, vocals?
Yeah, I sing. I mostly play acoustic guitar. I do have a handful of other guitars that I just can't stop from buying, and and I play the piano as well. And then I have I'm in my music room actually right now, so I'm kind of looking around at all my stuff. Yeah, I just bought an electric drum set as well, and that's been
nice.
Kind of get a hold of and start to play. I would prefer a non-electric, obviously, but I mean the electric drum sets are coming along. But I think that with kids, I'm just like I can just turn them down if I.
Yeah, just throw the headphones on, man. I thought about buying one of those too. But instead, I decided I'm going to torture my daughter. My oldest daughter is learning fiddle right now,
Oh, nice.
and she's kicking butt, man. And but she's playing that thing constantly. I mean, constantly playing this thing. And so I'm going to get her back because these drums that I just got are going in this room I'm sitting in is butts up against her bedroom. So she's going down. Drums are way louder than fiddle.
Yeah.
Tell me about songwriting with you, because that's like I've always looked at songwriting like some musicians are musicians like guitar player and singer first, and then out of necessity they begin writing songs. Other people, and this is the category I fall into, want to write songs so they learn to guitar and to kind of sing, to be able to create that music. How do you view it?
Yeah, I think that songwriting comes more in the forefront for me. So I picked up the guitar when I was about, I think I was 15. My dad brought a guitar home. And by the time I was 16, I was writing songs.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved writing songs, and so I think that it's tough to write songs, but it's like a muscle, if you keep working at it, then obviously you get better. But I also feel like there's this X factor where you're kind of trying to tune into the universe a little bit.
Yeah.
And if, some days it's there and it just within like 10 minutes, you have a song and it's a great song. And then other days you can't even write a verse kind of thing. And so, it's, yeah, I'm definitely more songwriter than guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
But I think singing is probably what I really loved to do. And so I started singing, and then I picked up the guitar, and then I'm like, well, I would love to write songs too. And so that I started to kind of figure that out. So right now, I do a lot of stuff here in Utah. I do some co-writes, with some other guys, in Salt Lake. But I love to go to Nashville. I go to Nashville quite a bit, and I do co-writes out there. That's where I recorded this new record was out in Nashville. And so, man, the songwriters out in Nashville are another level. That's what they're doing every single day.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like their day job. Yep.
No, for sure. Yeah. They get a publishing deal, and that pays them a salary, and that's what they do 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's fun. Nashville's a fun town.
So how often are you going to Nashville?
I go there 2-3 times a year, maybe something like that.
So that it's what's interesting to me, like now, looking back when I was I don't know, big into music, whatever you want to call it, when I was pursuing music, I guess I should say it that way, in my 20s. It was before all the social media stuff, and it was before everybody was so well connected. Like you and I would not be sitting here recording a podcast, which didn't even exist back then. 700-800 miles apart. And so like, it's interesting to me to see how a lot of musicians are doing this thing that you're doing, where you live out west, you love to hunt, you love to be out west, you live in, you and your wife found a place to call home in Utah, and that's where you want to be and raise your kids. But yet you could still pursue music like remotely and visit Nashville. Like the days of when I was doing it, it was all about, okay, you got to pick up, you got to move to Nashville, if you want to do that. And I lived in North Carolina when I was in the military, and I did not want to go back there. And it's because they, at the time they didn't have elk. They didn't have mule deer. They still don't have mule deer. And they, and so that was, they didn't have, it wasn't even so much that they didn't have like public land like we know it. Sure, it exists out there, but not on the scale that Utah does. In Utah, you can get into the backcountry and go days without seeing another human, and same with here in Montana. And they don't have that there. And so that was my big holdup. And now you have this opportunity where you could write these songs and record and fly out there and meet with other songwriters and be all connected online. And like walk us through what your career is as a musician now, and like what it looks like do you have a day job outside of it, all that kind of stuff. Where are we at with that?
Sure. My wife and I talk about it all the time. Are we going to move to Nashville? Are we not going to move to Nashville? And it's still on the fence for sure. I definitely lean more towards staying in Utah and staying out west. I just love the West and everything it represents, and I would love to just kind of keep that inspiration. And I feel like it comes through in my songwriting, and I feel like I would lose that if I moved to Nashville. I would fall into the mold of all the other songwriters, and they're great songwriters, but I think that I'm offering something different by staying out here, out in Utah. And it's funny. There's a lot of guys that are like that as well. They don't live in Nashville. Like, I don't know if you've heard of Coulter Wall, but
I know Coulter Wall.
Yeah, I mean,
I had his buddy on the podcast, man, and Coulter will not come on my podcast or anybody else's.
I know he doesn't do anything. And so that's the thing. He like lives on a ranch in Wyoming. Like
yeah. No, he's like the modern day Chris Ledoux, man. He's a legitimate cowboy that's doing cowboy stuff, and he likes to record music.
Yeah, exactly. I think there was an interview or something. Someone contacted his agent and was like, "Hey, we'd love to have him, do XYZ." And the agent was like, "Oh, well, he's a ranch hand for the rest of the summer, so come back in a few months."
Isn't that crazy, dude? Yeah. He flat ignored Joe Rogan to come on Rogan's show. I mean, that's crazy. It is. And there's something that you gotta like about that in a sense. He doesn't need to.
Music. Yeah, and you hear it in his music. I mean, he is a cowboy, and that's the music he's writing.
Yeah.
And so I love that, and I want to kind of keep that inspiration as well. There's a bunch of other guys that are kind of doing the same thing. I think Chase Rice, he lives up in Missoula. You don't need to live in Nashville, especially like if you can just fly in. Like for me, it's in Provo Airport. It's like $100 round trip to Nashville. So
really,
it's like Breeze or some, discount.
Ernie's Airlines or something.
Exactly.
The pilots double as like the local butcher or something. I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd trust that.
Yeah. But I mean, it's very doable, to do that, especially if you want to keep the Western inspiration. And that's what I love. And I love the outdoors. I love hunting. And so I want to stay in a place where I can, not lose myself and just kind of, fall into whatever, the mundane of what Nashville is. Because a lot of people do that. They move there and it eats them alive. And so,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so as far as a day job and stuff, I've been very lucky to be full-time musician for a while now. So I do a lot of my own stuff. I do a lot of events and corporate stuff up in Park City as well. I'm lucky enough to be the preferred artist at High West, the distillery.
Oh, really? The High West whiskey place?
Yeah. So they do a lot of. They have a few different event spaces, and they they have the saloon like on Park City, Maine, and then the distillery like up in Wanship, and then up there near that is Blue Sky Ranch as well. So I do events stuff there, and I mean even all the way up into like Jackson and Idaho and Montana and down into the Colorado, and I guess not down, but I mean I've been able to play these more corporate events and weddings and stuff like that pay really nice. And so
that's really good, man.
Yeah, I've been able to kind of do both sides of it, which is nice.
So you're not doing like here's what my setup was, man. I had a 4-piece band, and we were playing these legit Montana, Idaho, Washington State honky tonks for $400 a night. And we're trying. There's no making a living on that. The gigs that you're talking about, like there's this big dude ranch up in Idaho, and it's real high end. I think I've talked about it on the podcast. My lead guitarist Will Foster, which you'd probably love him, man. He's absolutely the hands down the best musician I've ever met. Anything with strings, he can just kill it. But him and I would go down there and do this acoustic session around their campfire for the guests, and man, it paid really, really well. For like, we felt like we were robbing a bank. We'd go down and sit around this fire and play for an hour, and we'd walk out of there with like $1,500 each. And back then, in those days, man, it was like that was crazy good money.
Yeah.
So
that covered the rent and food.
Yeah. That was where I don't know if I ever told this story, but we did a full band deal down there. The group that was renting the Dude Ranch was all from France, and the French folks were letting the kids drink wine, and like these 9-year-old kids were wasted. And like they were doing the whole coming up and giving us hugs and I love you in their French accent. And I mean, these kids were wasted. It was the damnedest thing I've ever seen in my life. I still think about that all the time.
Yeah. The French, it's different over there.
So when you're playing, go ahead.
I think it's legal in France or something for if there's a parent present for the kids to have wine or something.
Is that what it is?
I think so. Yeah.
I'd have to look that up.
Yeah.
I've always been curious about that. I'm not kidding you, man. Like, Travis, these kids were tore up from the floor up. I'm just going to Google this.
I'm sure they were. Yeah, no, it's funny. There's the high end events. It's a thing, and I mean Jackson, Wyoming, and Park City, and there's a bunch of other places. But like the clients I'll get are like Delta Airlines and the United Bank of Switzerland and stuff like that. And so it's a whole different.
This says the drinking age in France is 18 years old. Maybe that's a new thing.
Yeah, maybe I just made that up. I don't know.
I have no idea. I don't know. Minors under the age cannot enter a bar serving alcohol unless accompanied by a parent and can have a glass of wine. Oh, so maybe that's anyway. Totally got us off track. Travis, when you're playing these gigs, are you doing? Are these acoustic shows you're doing? Do you have a full production band kind of thing? What's the mix there?
Yeah, I do have a band I play with, and I prefer to do it as the full band because then we have 4-part harmonies, and it just I feel like it just sounds better. But definitely, if the event calls for, or the budget of the event is only for like a solo, then yeah, I'll go play just acoustic as well. So it just really depends on the event.
Yeah, sweet. That's awesome, man. So tell me a little bit about what the future looks like.
Yeah, as much as I love these well-paying gigs, you can get stuck just doing those and then not finding time to pursue the actual passion, at least for me, which is writing songs and writing my own songs and performing my own songs. And so the future is I think with this new record, honestly, it's been a while since I've come out with new songs, and I'm pretty excited about all of them. So just trying to figure out how to cut through the noise,
Yeah.
A lot of noise out there right now.
When somebody, like when I look at the music scene today and I see what from like my perspective, I see like all this opportunity because my buddy, Phil, he was on the show, I don't know, a year or two ago. He's like this incredible fiddle player, right? And he's been on like, what was that reality show? I don't remember the name of that reality show, but it's like America's Got Talent or something like that. And he's just, built this career over playing this fiddle, and he's just amazing. And so for a guy like me that was doing this before all that, it looks to be like you guys have this new door that is open that offers all these different ways to brand your music and get it out there and get it in front of people. But what I've noticed too is the challenge with that is all the other musicians, they use those tools as well. So I totally get what you're saying when you say just trying to find a way to cut through the noise. Because I think I would imagine, because obviously, man, I don't pursue music anymore. I pick the guitar up and play around a fire and play around with I play the mandolin. Sometimes I can't wait for the drums to get here. But all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking at that and I'm wondering, how do you set yourself apart? How do you cut through all that noise and make yourself heard? Because that's the key is getting yourself out there and having a sound that resonates with people, and songs that are written that resonate with people. And there's so much talent out there. Does it seem like something that's super challenging from a standpoint of almost like this dread of impossibility, or do you feel like there's a breakthrough for you? If you guys are into shooting the copper bullets, man, I got a great deal for you. We have partnered with Barnes Bullets. They are world famous, known for that VOR TX rifle, the deadliest, most accurate hunting loads on the planet. I like this company, guys, because I have a personal connection to these guys. Down in central Utah, my dad's got this ranch, and on the way to the ranch, you drive past this Barnes Bullets factory, and it's a really cool building just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So I know them well. These all-copper bullets provide destructive power, double diameter expansion, maximum weight retention, and devastating energy transfer, all with excellent accuracy. It's a great choice for Western big game hunters and shooters everywhere. So check them out at barnesbullets.com and let me know what you guys think. I appreciate it. You've heard my Silencer Central ads, I'm sure, and I don't know if you have reached out and contacted them yet. If you're interested in a silencer, though, man, this is the way to go. Silencer Central from the start to finish, because it's quite the process. If you've never gotten a suppressor for one of your rifles, you've got to go through and do the ATF paperwork and the background checks and all that kind of stuff. But the cool part is Silencer Central takes care of it all. It's a several-month process, and so what's cool about it is if you don't want to drop all that money right at the top end of this whole process, you can just get a hold of them, and you can do like a payment plan while they're taking care of all the paperwork on the back end. I have the Banish 30, and this thing is awesome. I've never used one of these before, so I'm like learning as I go along. But what I was getting at is from start to finish, Silencer Central has been some of the most amazing people I've ever worked with through the process. They treated me like I was family, and I really appreciated it. You guys should check them out, and you can call them at 866-891-4494 or check it out at silencercentral.com. It will be worth your time, I promise.
I think that if you're making music for other people, then you've kind of lost the art in it. I think that you need to realize like why you're making music to begin with, and be authentic to yourself. And I'm still trying to figure that out. I feel like, I think people can see that, the authenticity, and people are craving that. I think that,
oh, absolutely.
Yes, social media, I think went through a phase where it was like everything was fake. I mean, literally everything. And so people can kind of spot it now, and they're craving this authenticity and someone being real. I mean, I think that's why like Zach Bryan is doing so well. He's just completely 100% himself. And Cult of the Wall, they're not trying to be anyone that they're not. And I think if you can figure that out and just, stay true to yourself and be authentic, and honestly, it kind of sucks, but like not worry about if even anyone watches your videos or listens to your songs. Like if you're worried about that from the beginning, you've already lost. And so it's tough, because I mean, I think everyone still struggles with it. I for sure do.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that out. And I think that's how you do cut through the noise. And, it's funny, like, I'm trying to be pretty active on TikTok these days. And there are times and like, I try to get up and do a song a day. And there are days when I just am going through the motions, just kind of mailing it in. And that song doesn't do very well on the platform. And then there's times where I'm excited to do it. I'm really excited about this song I'm going to do. and I put more passion into it, and that song does well. It's weird, but
Interesting.
I feel like
Yeah.
it translates, and people really can tell, and
I
maybe that's
mean,
just me, but who knows?
absolutely. No, you nailed it, man. I mean, the proof is in the pudding with that kind of stuff because you mentioned something earlier. What happened when I was pursuing music was there was a lot of this, like all the songs sounded the same, and you had to have this certain look and this certain sound and this certain context in the song that you were producing. And my stuff was not like that. We were geeky ass musicians, man. We liked obscure, unique, creative stuff, and that's what we played, and it resonated well in like these rowdy country bars in North Idaho. It wouldn't have been played on modern radio at the time, right? It's just not the stuff that was working. And I think that people grew tired of like this whole music in a can thing where it just felt like there was this formula that everybody had to follow, and then it sounded a little catchy, and so next thing you know it's like a chart topping song, and like blah blah blah. But there was like this major lack of creativity going on, and this went on for a long time, man. And then that, I think, again, the market kind of will pick up and move with it. I guess it'll solve its own problem. And this is why today you have people like you were saying, who is that guy you said, the guy that was in the Navy?
Zach Bryan.
Yeah, Zach Bryan. My wife and my girls think he's just awesome, and I don't really know. I don't know that I know any of his songs. I'm like out of the loop with that stuff, but I do know Coulter Wall, and I do know like Chris Stapleton, and I do know even heck that hillbilly looking dude, Oliver Anthony, that went viral this last summer.
Yeah.
It's the authenticity that pushed that over the top. He had a message, and his voice resonated with people, and just that's like, I always look at like Chris Stapleton back when I was pursuing music. He would have never made it in country radio, right? He didn't have the look. He didn't have, and his songs were super rough around the edges, even though he's amazingly talented. Oh. But people grew tired of that stuff, and now it's people like that are, people are able to attach themselves to and enjoy. So now we need to maybe hear a song from you.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
After I didn't mean to say all that to put a bunch of pressure on you, man. Do you have anything do you have a response to what I was saying with that? Did that even make sense how I explained it?
Yeah, no, I think you're right on the money. And I think Zach Bryan, when his Something in the Orange first came out, it was not like country radio would not play it, and they wouldn't even consider it country. And I mean, it's kind of not, but like you actually look at what country radio is playing these days, and it's like pop and rap and like, so like what is even country, And I think Zach Bryan is just rock and roll, and that's country to me, And I think Chris Stapleton fits in that as well. It's a little more rough around the edges, a little more gritty, and people want that. They want that. It feels more real.
There's just authenticity behind it. Yeah. Sure. So tell everybody about your new single that you just released. It's called Cowboys Run.
Yeah.
I will have you know before you explain it that it is already in my favorites on my playlist. I really like the song. I like the message in it, and I really like I like your delivery on the song. I think you like put the right emotion to it, and it helps get that message across. So tell everybody where this song came from, and then we want to hear it.
Sure. Yeah, I think when I was writing this song, it kind of comes from a place of getting away from the mundane, getting away from the normal stuff that you do, and not caring about what other people think, and just kind of going and living your life and finding what inspires you. When you were saying about the delivery on it, I think that really came to life when I was out in Nashville with my producer Thomas. He's incredible, and it just really came to life. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Eagles, and so I love the Eagles. Yeah. And Yeah.
It does.
So
it is a little bit Eagles-esque, man. It
I know.
really
Now that I
is.
say it, you're like, yeah, that actually,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
It's
wouldn't
so
have
good.
thought that until you said it.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's So, anyways, it's it's just a song to hopefully inspire you to keep chasing the daylight, chasing your dreams, chasing what inspires you, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, let's grab your guitar. I'd love to hear it.
okay,
What was that?
I was just gonna say I'm gonna switch up mics for you.
Yeah, so he's going to be switching up mics, guys. I know you're only hearing the audio, and we've got video here where we can see each other. So it's kind of cool the way he did that. If you guys have heard some of these episodes in the past where we get musicians on, sometimes the audio doesn't come out great. I'm thinking the way he's got it set up, this is going to be a lot better. So here's hoping. Oh yeah, there we go. I can hear your guitar.
Okay.
Yep.
There we go. Got a little
All right, brother.
too, you know.
All you, man.
Thinking all about my life these days, the roads that take us far away, what the people left behind will say, forever standing in the way. Stepping off into the sunset, all the people that I have not met. Comes a time in life, but it has not yet. Put these words in my bed. We cowboys run with the wind, chasing the daylight, searching for things that don't exist. Waiting for love, waiting for God, run to the open wide. Cowboys run with the wind. It's been a journey of a lifetime. The only one that knows my road is the one that stood beside me, but nobody else would. The cowboys run with the wind, chasing the daylight, searching for things that don't exist. Waiting for love, waiting for God, run to the open wide. Cowboys run with the wind. And every day I carry it on my back, thinking about the love we had. Cowboys run with the wind, chasing the daylight, searching for things that don't exist. Waiting for love, waiting for God, run to the open wide. Cowboys run with the wind. Oh.
Man, right on with that. Hey, what guitar is that? What guitar is that?
So that.
Oh, hold on. We're switching mics.
Good. So it's a knockoff of the Gibson SJ200. I wish I had the money for the Gibson right now, but I don't. So that's it's like the jumbo size. It's really pretty guitar. That's why I bought it.
Yeah, it's super. It's a super full sound too. I really like the sound on it. I can never get my guitars to sound like that. So,
well,
but I can also not sing like that either. So,
yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah, it took me a minute to dive in there, but here we go. No,
that sounded great, man. See that is exemplary of as to why I would only sing to drunk people in bars, because I didn't sound that good. So that's fantastic, man. I like the premise of the song, and I just feel like you've got such a smooth delivery with it. And again, where you talked about how you wrote that song. Sorry, I'm getting back on your Instagram here.
Yeah, you're good.
And kind of chasing that dream. Does that relate to your life? Does that relate to, people that have never pursued this dream that is music, and a lot of hunters that are listening to this, many of you will understand the passion behind being a musician, because it's very similar to the passion behind being a hunter. And it's not like a hobby. And I've explained this a million times on the podcast that, hunting's not a hobby. Hunting is a lifestyle. Hunting is a big commitment. It becomes a hobby if you're somebody that goes out once a year to chase pheasants for a Saturday or something with your grandpa or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. But hunting is a lifestyle. And so I'm saying that for the many folks in the audience that will hear this, that music gets in your blood like that as well, if not more sometimes. And there's this super creative side that feeds that creative nature of people that are musicians that get into this. And I guess what I was getting back to the question I was asking you is, for those of you that have never pursued music, pursuing music can be very, very difficult, and it could be very frustrating. There's like, it's like that saying, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's usually like 2 steps forward, 10 steps back. And so there's just always this mountain to climb. And so that song sounds to me like it was written from a guy who has had his teeth kicked in a few times pursuing this dream. And you're kind of telling yourself to keep at it. How am I off base?
No, I think you're right on the money. It is very tough. And it's funny, there's probably other industries like this, but with music, it's like the people that view you like friends and family, they kind of get it, but they don't really understand. And they're just like waiting until you're playing the Super Bowl halftime show. And then like, oh, he made it. Okay. And it's like, oh, I made it a long time ago. I was paying my bills with it a long time ago, but
Yeah.
So it is this, interesting passion that it's, 2 steps forward, 10 steps back. And kind of with hunting with that, it's like, the first time I heard an elk bugle, I was like, man, that's a win right there. That was just a majestic moment. And I'm like, it's like, even you don't have to necessarily kill that elk that time, but just to get into a place where you found him. I mean, that in itself is a huge accomplishment. And so with music, it's like, there's a lot of wins, and a lot of people don't really see it because the outcome wasn't, you didn't bring the elk home, or you didn't play the Super Bowl halftime show. And so it's kind of tough in that way, but you just got to keep chasing it. You got to keep chasing the dream.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the comparison, man. Because I always use bugling bulls as an example of, like, I almost feel bad for people that are not into hunting, that have never experienced that freaking feeling of a pissed off, giant 700-pound animal screaming his head off in your face, but I can compare it. Like, there was also nothing like, back in the day, the room would be dark, and the dance floor would be just like, packed with people, and the stage lights are on you. We had this cool fog machine, and it's going, and the band, we're just really connected that night. And we're not just connected with each other, but the band is connected with the crowd, and the crowd's way into what you're doing. And you feel like you're just on top of the world. And then the gig ends, and you start packing up, and you realize, there was only 100 people in the room. It wasn't some big stadium, but in the moment, it's that same feeling, that same connectivity on, like, this greater level, like when an elk is bugling in your face. And I don't know how else to explain it, but I love the way you compared that.
Yeah. It's so fun. And you're right. I mean, I think with playing, just like to 100 people or something, it's like this synergy that's happening, like you're feeding off of the energy.
Yeah.
And, you can find that in the woods too. It's so fun.
Yeah. I mean, we've all, I don't know. I guess there's, between hunting and music, these things are for people that want to pursue something outside of the norm and experience things that are more natural and more beyond the boring life of that can come out of what society considers normal, and once you get a little taste of it, it's hard to tame it. It's hard to keep it at bay, and it's just it's so, and it's funny, man. Like I love getting guys like you on that are so talented and just have, I could just see it when you're playing. I can always tell when I'm watching somebody else play, whether or not like you truly are wrapped into music, and it really is something that is just speaking to your soul. And I could tell by the way you play. And not every musician has that, not everybody has that kind of thing. It's just, sometimes they're just kind of, they're going through the motions and playing a song and they sound okay or whatever. And then you have guys like you and gals, and it just, the passion comes through the song and the vocals and the guitar playing, and everybody feels it. So
thank you.
You have some new songs coming up in January that you're going to release. Tell us a little bit about that.
So Cowboys Run was the first single off of these new songs. All of these songs I recorded out in Nashville. And so I got one out before the holidays, and now I don't want to get lost in all the Christmas music, so I'm going to just not release until January, until the next song comes out.
Wait, so you didn't do a Christmas album?
I know, right?
There's got to be a new way to sing Jingle Bells. I mean, come on.
A lot of people are writing their own Christmas songs now, so that's fun. And I've never done a Christmas album, and I thought about it. But it just happened that it was time to release these songs, and so I did, just maybe next year.
Yeah, no, I'm totally kidding about the Christmas album, brother. So there, out of the songs that you have coming up, there's got to be one that you could play for us. Maybe give us like a teaser of what the rest of the album's going to be like. Do you mind playing one more for us and tell us a little bit about it?
This is a song called Mama's Eyes, and it's a song I brought out in Nashville with a gal named Carly Rogers, and we wrote it together, and it's a fantastic song about, my son. Honestly, it's
oh really?
So it's it's funny in the song. It says 10 fingers, 10 toes. And if you know me from, as a kid, I was born with 12 toes. And so that's like something that when we go in to see our ultrasounds, we always count the toes to make sure there's only 10.
Do you still have 12 toes?
I do not still. They cut them off when I was like 6 months old.
Oh, dang. That'd be a cool picture.
I know.
Be curious, like lift your foot up so I could see it in the zoom camera.
Yeah, I know, right? I have scars on my feet still.
Not in a weird way. Just...
yeah. Totally manly way, for sure.
Yeah, a very manly way, man. Hunters, just curious. Yeah, that's great, man. I like the concept of the song, and so this song is going to be available in January for people to purchase.
Yeah, exactly. I think that first week of January. So I still need to talk to my distribution, but I think that's about when we're going to do it.
Sweet. Well, go ahead and grab your guitar. I'm really excited to hear this one. And what I'm going to do while you're singing this one, I'm actually going to shut my video off just so that my internet is like majorly optimal while you're playing. So the sound was pretty good on the last one. So just don't panic with my audio being off. There we go.
Yeah, no.
Or I'm sorry, not audio, video.
Yeah, do you hear me?
Yep, hear you great, man. Everything sounds good.
It's okay. It's not. I don't see it. Yeah, you're probably no. You're good. We're good.
I just shut my video off. That's all.
All right, here we go. 7 pounds, 11 ounces, a new life wrapped in a blanket, covered in trains and cars, 10 fingers, 10 toes, and a perfect little nose. You've been waiting and here you are. I can't help but feeling excited and afraid. The only thing I know is that my world's about to change. And that smile, you got it from your grandma. The head of hair looks just like Uncle Tom. That heart of yours that's beating thunder's just like mine. When it rains, I pray to God you see the light, 'cause you got your mama's eyes. Bigger world, new places, made billion other faces. But I'm the one that gets to be your dad. And I can't help feeling excited and afraid. The only thing I know is that my world's about to change. And that smile, you got it from your grandma. Her head of hair looks just like Uncle Tom. That heart of yours that's beating thunder's just like mine. When it rains, I pray to God you see the light, 'cause you got your mama's eyes. And that smile, you got it from your grandma. The head of hair looks just like Uncle Tom. That heart of yours that's beating thunder's just like mine. And when it rains, I pray to God you see the light, 'cause you got your mama's eyes. Yeah, you got your mama's eyes. Yeah, you got your mama's eyes.
All right, man. Nice job.
Thank you, thank you.
Sounds really good. I love that song, man. That's you're right. That I think any parent can relate to that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that one comes out in January. I'm excited about that one. That one's a really pretty song that I love.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you got the chops, man. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Tell everybody where they could find your music and find you. And maybe if they live in Utah, maybe if there's a place they could see you play sometime soon.
Yeah. So it's just Travis Van Hoff on all social media and Spotify, Google Play, Pandora, Amazon Music, anywhere that you listen to music, it's there. So yeah, as far as playing live shows, I'm in the process of getting one together for probably February. So yeah, just I'm pretty active on Instagram, so check it out there. I'll definitely keep people posted.
You ever going to come up? You ever going to come up to Montana and play for us?
You know, I would love to. There's a festival up there under the big sky.
Oh, I know, man.
Whitefish that I would love to come play. So who we'll see. Yeah,
I know that one.
Tell me the spots.
I always try to get tickets because my girls are just they're head over heels for. They'd love to go, and I can never freaking get tickets in time. They sell out so fast. It blows my mind.
It blows my mind because it's like people drive in to go to that festival. It's crazy.
Dude, they come from like California and Texas and New York, and they come from all over. And so we should probably stop promoting it so I have a chance at trying to get tickets for my girls this year. So, well, cool, man. Like, and ladies and gentlemen, the show notes is going to have Travis's Instagram. And if you get on his Instagram, there is a link tree. And you can jump on that link tree and it'll take you to Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, all the places you can get his music. I highly recommend you give him a follow on Instagram and check out a couple of his songs. Like him or not, let's just put it this way, like him or not, if you buy a song, it really goes a long way for musicians. It really means a lot. And it really helps in the algorithms. And so, I think, if you guys are music lovers like I am and want to check out some new music, this is a great place to start, and he'd be a great guy to support. So, Travis, thanks a bunch for coming on the show, man. This was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed getting to know you, man. Yeah,
you too. Thanks for having me, Jim. This is fantastic.
We're going to have to, maybe we'll do it again. If you get Super Bowl halftime status, will you come back on my show?
I will. You will let me know. I'll come up to Montana and we'll do it in person.
Cool. I like it. Hey, you're more than welcome here in my neck of the woods. So make it happen, brother. I really appreciate it. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Have a good night.
You too. You made it. That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you're following us on Instagram @TheWesternHuntsman and write us a good review at Apple Podcasts. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on